What's up guys, Wolf here. Welcome to another Diablo 4 video. In today's video, I'm going to showcase one of the best sorcerer builds you can make right now in the game. This is going to be an Ice Shards Blizzard Frost build. This build will allow you to absolutely destroy any world tier. I will be showcasing gameplay from world tier 4. And as you guys can see from the gameplay, I can absolutely destroy it. Ice Shards is so powerful when combined with chill damage and with Blizzard. Those two spells are, I would say, probably the meta right now in the game for sorcerer. So even nightmare dungeons are a breeze. I play up to around about level 21 nightmare dungeons because I'm only level 70. So it's all dependent on your level, your progression in the game, but I'll give you guys as many tips as I can to try and help you until you get to where I am at level 70. And we're gonna go through the skill tree, paragon board, enchantments, all that good stuff. So please make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, on Twitch, subscribe, leave a like on this video, and let's get into it. So I've been testing quite a couple of builds. If you guys did not see my lightning sorcerer build, please make sure to click the link in the description after watching this. You can go check that out. That build was really good. This is definitely could potentially be even stronger. It's on par with my previous lightning build. This is really good because you mitigate enemies' movements. You can one-shot like mobs of tier 4s with literally a frost bolt after proccing a frost nova, which is just ridiculous to me. You can become so powerful as an ice mage or a frost mage that I'm sure anyone who tries this could potentially be your favorite. I'm still working on my pyro setup. It's a bit more difficult, but I'm sure I can make it work. So hopefully, so stay tuned for that video, which will be coming soon. Also, I'm working on other classes, so I will be posting build videos on all the other classes. So just a quick summarization of how you use this build. It is quite simple, but it may take a bit of getting used to because there are some certain elements of order that you need to use these spells in to make them more efficient. So I'm going to be utilizing teleport. Teleport is great for stunning, for movement. So when I teleport towards enemies, I have a certain aspect. You don't have to have it. It does help. It groups all the enemies together. They get stunned. I get damage to stunned enemies. Then I literally proc a Frost Nova. Then after I've procced a Frost Nova, making all the enemies frozen and vulnerable, I will not use Ice Shards. I will use a Frost Bolt because up close Frost Bolt is a bit better. And also this will explode, which is really good. And the chance to explode is 100% against enemies who are frozen from the Frost Nova. They blow up, and then I use Ice Shards afterwards to machine gun any other enemies around me. And Ice Shards is stronger when doing it by themselves because you can also make enemies vulnerable. But that's the order I do it in. And then maybe use ice armor as well, and then just run around and do the same kind of thing. Now, while all of this is going on, you can proc blizzards non-stop. And I'm going to tell you guys something right now. I think Blizzard is my favorite right now because one Blizzard can kill a whole mob on tier 4 in Nightmare Dungeon. It's just so strong, and I do have an aspect that makes it stronger, but you can farm for these. It's not that hard. Some dungeons have it, the aspect, the lowest possible, the low roll aspect, and you can find it on special gear. And I will go through that and showcase that shortly. But that's pretty much how you use this setup. I think Ice Shards is really good right now. The combination of vulnerable, damage to chilled enemies, damage to the frozen. That's something I want to talk about now especially. So damage to frozen enemies you would think is the better option. In my opinion, it's not, because you need to chill the enemies to freeze them when you're using other things like a Frostbolt, for example. So you're dealing damage to them while you're still trying to freeze them, which is pretty much all the time. And then when they do get frozen, a dev did confirm this, dealing damage, having chilled damage to frozen enemies is the same thing. So they are still chilled when they are frozen. I think that's quite important to know. I'll obviously need to do some further testing on all of these things, but this is from my findings, my testings, what I've been seeing in the community and from the devs. Let's look at the skill tree. So it's up to you what you choose. It's all subject to your playstyle. So adapt the build to suit how you play. Don't just copy it. I'm going to give you guys hopefully some ideas though, or show you what I believe to be the strongest side of a setup like this. So Frostbolt is really good. This is nice because we can deal damage and chill enemies. The great thing as well is that there's a 100% chance to explode, which is great for AoE damage. This is really powerful. That's why I said when you get up close to an enemy after they're frozen, use a Frostbolt. Because not only in this situation will we generate mana, but it'll blow them up and it will just cause an explosion. Guys, I'm not joking. Teleport, one Frost Nova and one Frostbolt can kill a whole mob. It's just really good against frozen enemies. If you can't freeze them, you might have take a bit longer to actually do it. but you still have lots of other damage ways, like damage to shock, if they can get shocked, or any just normal straight up damage. It's good because we actually have high hit chance with this build as well. So this is how I normally, this is what I've gone for here. Make sure to go this direction. You can go this way if you would like, but we have vulnerable from other ways, because vulnerable is its own separate multiplier, 20%. Then obviously ice shards, I've got 6 out of 5. You guys can go for less or even more. This is really good. This is one of the best spells in the game. Really powerful. I'm sure you guys have been seeing this a lot. I did showcase this in one of my other builds. So much damage, and it launches 5 of them, and this is 25% multiplicative damage to frozen enemies, which is really strong considering most of the enemies will be frozen from the blizzard, from the frostbolt, from the frost nova. There's so many ways we can freeze enemies. So the ricochet is also really nice. And I don't know if you guys noticed from the gameplay, but I'm actually using this as an enchantment. So the enchantment, it automatically shoots ice shards. So when I proc a blizzard, my ice shards are getting shot automatically from my character. It's quite crazy. Now I'll showcase the enchantment straight after the skill tree, but that's completely on you and how you play and what you want. It doesn't really matter too much, but I really love the enchantment effect of ice shards. I've gone towards this way. So hitting an enemy with 5 ice shards in a single cast makes him vulnerable. I feel like this is good. Vulnerable is very strong. That's all I've gone for the core skills. Then going on to the defensive skills, very important. Teleport is really nice. Teleport with this one here, we get 30% damage mitigation, which is great. I definitely recommend it. Glass cannon, 2 out of 3. It's up to you. You don't need glass cannon, but having that extra damage is great. We have so much survivability. We don't even feel like we're getting more damage dealt to us. Then the ice armor is important. This is going to help us survive. And the nice thing about this ice armor, we get mana regeneration. This is a lot more than you think. As you guys noticed from the gameplay, I do run out of mana, but hardly ever. If I use all my skills, all my spells, should I say, in the right order, I never run out, and I can consistently and constantly spam them. But it's up to you. You need to try and make a balance. This is on your gear, what attributes you've got, what aspects you have. So just kind of gauge it for yourself. So I've got this one, a shimmering ice armor as well, which is good. Then Frost Nova, you guys know how this works. This is great. It explodes, makes enemy vulnerable. They freeze. This is really, really good. I 100% recommend going for Align the Elements. Go for protection, even go for 3 out of 3. This is so strong. Using a cooldown, which means whenever your spells go on cooldown, which happens all the time, grants 20% of your maximum life as a barrier. So we are getting an extra barrier. You guys see what blue over your health circle. That is unbelievably strong. So this is really good. I actually want to try and switch something up or remove something to make this 3 out of 3. I might actually take the 6 out of 5 ice shards and put 5 out of 5, then put 1 more point here. Also, mana shield is really good. More damage mitigation. I don't use ice blades. That's from my gear. Because I'm still working on my build. This is still quite a fresh one. So I've got Ice Veil. Your barriers have a 15% increased duration. I do like that. It's not the most necessary thing, but I feel like I try to keep my ice armor up as much as I can. So I haven't gone for these 2 nodes. I don't feel like they're necessary. Then my favorite, Blizzard. Very, very strong. Powerful. 25% multiplicative damage to frozen enemies. That's crazy. While you have active Blizzard, your core skills cost 10% less mana. You can go for this one as well. It lasts longer, but it's not really necessary because we've got so much mana. We can just keep spamming them. And if enemies move, which I do quite a bit, we can reapply it. So I feel like it makes more sense to go for that one. Then we have got the ultimate. And I just recommend going for almost 3 out of 3 for all of these guys. It's all self-explanatory. More damage. It's really, really good. Then I have tried Shatter. There is a special aspect for this, which is really good. This is on you and what content you're doing and what you want. I have gone for Avalanche. Now, this is really, really good, guys. So Frost skills have up to a 10% chance to make your next cast of Ice Shards, Frozen Orb, or Blizzard consume no mana and deal 40% increased damage. Chance is doubled against vulnerable enemies. Moving on to the Paragon board. So this is quite interesting. Now, when you start off, it's really dependent on you, what glyphs you have. I don't recommend copying this. I will go through it quickly and just kind of explain my reasoning as why I've gone this direction. But when I've started off, I've gone to the right-hand side for intelligence to give myself more skill damage, more resistances. I think it's quite important. Non-physical damage is also really nice. That's with my spells. I really do enjoy it. So we've gone all over this side, non-physical damage, intelligence. We've got some willpower. Now, the node I've got, the glyph socket I've got is going to be 10% increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies, or instead 20% increased damage to stunned or frozen enemies. I've just stacked this here. Dexterity, I've got dexterity within this red zone there, so it is quite strong. As you guys can see, more damage to crowd controlled enemies, very strong. Then I've kind of gone to the left, come upwards, and then just dipped on the right for this rare node here to give me more intelligence and resistance. Then I've attached another board right here. This board is very good. Icefall, this legendary node is great. That's why I've kind of branched over to that side. So I've gone up here to the right, and then I've gone to the left to go to the legendary node. And the reason being is because there's a lot of good items on this board in this direction. So we've got the first one here, damage to chilled enemies and non-physical damage. What can I say? This is self-explanatory, lots of damage. Moved over to the right for some really good nodes here, intelligence damage to chilled enemies, because we're going to be chilling enemies all the time. We got lots of damage there. Then we have got another glyph socket here, which is really nice. So we've got non-physical damage for each skill equipped in your enchantment slots, gain 13% resistance to that skill's element. It's up to you guys what you've got. I don't have the best glyphs right now. I'm trying to level them up from playing Nightmare Dungeons, but I've gone for that one there. Then also I've moved from to up here to kind of get myself damage reduction from chilled enemies to mitigate, because you do take a lot of damage later on in the game, and I'm still learning that the further I go. So I wanted to get some mitigation on that side. Then I've moved over and to get the Icefall legendary node, I'm going to make my way this side and then attach another board once I'm done here. So let's take a look at the enchantments. This is really on you. It depends on what you want. There are some really good ones like the automatic blizzard, but trust me guys, this ice shard one is really, really strong. So they automatically conjure and fly towards enemies. Like I said, you don't even have to worry about casting these. Just cast your frostbolt. It's really good, because the frostbolt one as well is nice. So direct damage from skills apply up to 21% chill, which means I'll be chilling them more often, more quickly. It really depends on you. You can use a bunch of other ones. You can do an extra teleport, but that really is dependent on you. Let's take a look at the gear now. So the gear is completely up to how good your RNG is, what aspects you've got. You can farm for most of these aspects from dungeons, but let's take a look at the pieces. So as you guys can see, my general stats are quite good. Attack, power, armor, it's all pretty balanced. When we look at some of our statistics, the higher ones, overpowered damage, critical strike damage, my critical strike chance is actually quite decent. And this goes up significantly by 19% as well because of my movement speed. Well, this actually could even go potentially higher. Then we've also got a decent amount of vulnerable damage, all damage, which is not bad. Damage versus stunned, which is good. And damage versus chilled, which is really, really strong. Something to mention as well is that when you're attacking a boss, if you guys see the yellow bar stacking up, that is when you fully stagger a boss. So they are considered affected by all of this, from chill as well. And then you can dish out all this damage to the bosses. So against bosses, this is so good. All the CC and all this the stunning and all that will stack that bar. Once they get stunned, it turns blue, and we can let loose and just kill any boss so quickly. It's really satisfying and really strong. We've also got a whole bunch of other stats here. If you guys want to pause the video and have a look, that's up to you. High movement speed, important to make note of this from one of the gear, or should I say aspects I've got on the build. So lots of damage reduction, which is really good. So the first piece, or let me talk about what attributes you kind of want to go for. I think it's quite self-explanatory. All stats, total armor, lucky hit chance, damage to close enemies, damage to long range to enemy, or damage long range, because that's also good with ice shards. Damage to stunned enemies, probably not as important as damage to chilled or damage to frozen, which are better. Critical strike chance is good. There's so many things you can do here. Movement speed is great. We've also got basic skill damage, core skill damage, cooldown reduction, anything like that is going to be really good. Vulnerable damage, mana cost reduction. It all depends on where your pieces are and if you can get those specific stats. A lot of them just come on these pieces anyway. Like for example, we've got these sacred uniques that come normally with the same ones, just like this chest piece here. I've gone for the wand and focus combo. You can use a staff, but in this situation, I want to be able to cast things a bit quicker. It's really on you. It depends on you. One is not better than the other. It's completely up to the build and your situation. So I've got this, guys. You gain a 0.5% multiplicative increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 50%. This is a god roll. This is arguably the best survivability aspect in the game, and I recommend going for this. It's so nice, very powerful, helps you survive. Then we've got this right here. I know I keep using this in my builds, but it is good. Try and find this. After using teleport, close enemies are pulled to you and stunned. This gets all the enemies into one place so we can actually hit them with a frostbolt. Now remember, I mentioned use the frostbolt first because ice shards is quite difficult to aim up close, and sometimes I find they miss. That's why the frostbolt hits them close range, explodes, dishes out all that AoE damage. This is good, and I really do recommend using this, guys. It's great. Try this. You don't have to use this at all, but I really do like how it works. It's really efficient when you're clearing mobs. Then we've got the deal 9.5% increased damage for each second you stand still. We do get a lot of extra damage from this, and we do stand still quite often. Like if I proc my ice armor, I don't have to move. I can just dish out extra damage. I like it. You don't have to have this, especially if you're going to be moving all the time. Then I've got these pants. These are really good. Enemies that die while frozen have a 14% chance to unleash a Frost Nova. Just another skill that's getting procced for me, or another spell, which is really good. There are lots of other aspects you could use. This one is really good. Critical strike chance increased by 90% of your movement speed bonus. I really do like that, and we're going to be critting more often. Then I've got Ice Shards pierce 4 times, dealing 22% less damage. But this is good. The piercing is great. I really do recommend that. Go for that. As you guys can see, the gems, I've gone for the rubies. This is going to be maximum life. And I've gone for the topaz, which is basic skill damage. You don't have to use this. I see people going for crit damage, but I wanted to make sure my frostbolt does increase damage, and it's non-situational damage as well. Then I've got, this is a very important one. Try get it on your amulet. The value will be higher. So we do get increased damage, 47% damage to immobilize, stunned, or frozen enemies. Then we have got this ring, which has got using a cooldown restores 15 mana. Now I didn't have this. I had Lilith's ring, and that was really good. It reduces the cost of it, I think, by like 40%. This is a lot better. I prefer this. This is really good. So make sure you guys try this aspect. It'll help you so much with making sure you're efficient with your mana, because you're always going to be using your cooldown all the time, and you get your mana back so well. So try this. This is what probably saves me from losing my mana. Then we have got this ring, which is quite old and the item power is low. But when you cast a blizzard, it will periodically spawn exploding ice spikes that deal 252 damage. Your ice spikes deal 25% increased damage to frozen enemies. And I recommend you guys give it a try. Then on the focus, the Avalanche Key passive applies to 1 additional cost. Very strong. Let me know what you guys think of the setup. I really do love this build. It's one of my favorites, if not my favorite right now. And I will be bringing you guys more builds very soon. So please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.